Hi guys, I wanted to talk today about signs. What is a sign and how do you interpret signs? And this subject came up because I had posted something on my private page and then I had shared it to the Facebook page, the Grimoire of the Modern Witch, same name. And this happened to me personally. And I'm not sure if it's because it was shared from my personal page. So, of course, it had my name, Tina Turner, on it. In case you didn't know, I am Tina Turner. I think that maybe a lot of the people who follow that public page just did not realize that that's me. But anyway, it got quite a bit of flack. There were a few people who said, oh, that's definitely a sign and you should do this or take it as that. But there were several that tried to explain away in a very mundane way why this had occurred. So I thought this is a very much needed video. You need to understand that signs are very mundane things. Of course they are. They are things that happen in the real world that only the person receiving the sign would understand and take it as a sign. So if someone tells you or tells you about a story that where they say, I received a sign, take it as truth. That was a sign to them. It may not be a sign to you, but it's a sign to them. That's a special meaning of whatever it was that happened. And it's personal. It's a very, very personal thing. So to try to explain away a sign is very disrespectful. I'll just put that bluntly. It's very disrespectful because signs are personal things. So you may not take it as a sign, but that person receiving it is going to, okay? So let me give you some examples. And then I'll tell you, in case you missed the post, specifically what it was to me. It may be that you find a penny on the ground and that triggers a memory for you and reminds you of a loved one. Say your grandpa or your grandma used to pick up those pennies and say, find a penny, pick it up all day long, you'll have good luck. And that finding that penny on the ground reminded you of your grandma. So that's a sign from your grandma. She's watching you. She's watching over you. She's there. And she wanted you to think of her. So she put that penny in your path. It's a very mundane thing. Someone dropped a penny. Very mundane. Happens all the time. But you being on that specific path that maybe you wouldn't have been walking on and something persuaded you to go that direction instead of where you were going to be, that was your grandma tapping you on the shoulder. Go this way and you'll find a penny and you'll think of me. Very personal. But in the mundane world, happens all the time. Someone else might not see that as a sign from a loved one. Okay? It could be a hummingbird. Very normal, mundane thing. Hummingbirds in the yard. I'll tell you a small little story. And I may have mentioned this before. I'm not sure. I have a place that I sit and sunbathe in my driveway. Okay? It's off of the yard, which is a very elaborate English type garden, just higgledy-piggledy plants all askew. And that's by design. That's how I wanted it. Just a witch's garden, okay? Now, to find a hummingbird in that garden, very, very normal. No signs there. But what happened was in my driveway, not in this garden. Okay? And no, I don't have hummingbird feeders. If hummingbirds come by and find something in my garden and they drink that nectar, wonderful. But I don't put out hummingbird feeders to attract them in. They, of course, would be attracted by the flowers. But anyway, I was in the driveway, sitting out in my lawn chair, getting sun, because even though I live in Pennsylvania, I'm a California girl, and I still sunbathe, okay? So I'm sitting there, and this hummingbird flies over, and then turns around, sees me, comes back, and hovers just right by my face and looks me right in the eye. And then just kind of goes around my head and then goes on its way. That's not a normal occurrence. I wasn't near flowers. I don't have hummingbird feeders. That hummingbird came, saw me, came back, said hello. So, what does that mean? That was my grandmother who used to put out hummingbird feeders, and we would sit together and watch the hummingbirds. That was our thing, you know, feeding the hummingbirds and sitting and watching the hummingbirds. That was a message from my grandmother. So it could be a dragonfly. Seen one dragonfly, no big deal. People see dragonflies all the time. But this one particular week, I saw dragonflies everywhere I went, okay? I went into the yard, a dragonfly came around. I went to the movies in a theater at the mall, like a strip center with grocery stores and other type stores all around. No wildlife for a dragonfly to be around, but came to my car, looked at me through the window, and went off. Just everywhere I went, there was a dragonfly. And, sorry, kitty coming through the window. What does that mean? Dragonflies are notorious symbols of the underworld, the afterlife, heaven, the Summerland, whatever you want to call it. So, I don't know. I couldn't quite put together the meaning of it, but I knew it was a message from someone. Okay. It could be a feather, a particular feather from a type of bird that that you used to watch or had a picture of, or some type of symbolism for a loved one. And again, you were orchestrated to go down that path and find that feather by that person. So signs are personal, and they are everyday occurrences in the mundane world, but they hold special meanings, and so you have to be able to watch out for them. Now, what my particular instance was, and I've got them right here, I normally wear this little ring on my thumb. I'm a thumb girl, always been a thumb girl, okay? Always had some type of ring, gold ring on my thumb. And I was searching through my jewelry box, and I was looking for different, various gold rings. I had been wearing some silver, and silver just doesn't quite do it for me. But, sorry, really had a cough lately. So I was going through my jewelry box and looking for gold, to switch out my silver for gold. And, had this ring on already. That I started with this one. I already had this one on, was searching for these two, okay? And I came across my old wedding band. And for those of you who don't know, I'm recently divorced. Divorce was final last September, and separated since March. Okay. For the last 2 years of my marriage, I wore my wedding band on my middle finger. And I don't know what the symbolism was for that. Maybe it was an FU, you know, to my ex, you know. I'd lost a lot of weight and it didn't fit quite right on my appropriate finger. I still wore the engagement band, but the actual wedding ring I was wearing on my middle finger, which doesn't fit now because of course I've gained back that weight. Anyway, I grabbed it and put it on my thumb with this other ring, stacked ring, okay? Wearing it like that on my thumb. And what happened, and I'll show you, I'll take this bandage off and show you, is it burned me. Now, of course, there's a very mundane excuse for what happened. Probably some soap got under the rings and irritated my skin or whatever, but it burned. And I actually put Neosporin on and the bandage last night because it was on fire. It was bright red. All the skin came off. I mean, it was hurting. So anyway, I had posted this on the page, a picture of my thumb, and explained, you know, that I had put this wedding ring on and, you know, universe is telling me, don't do that. Don't wear that ring. The symbolism of that ring, or, you know, don't be involved with the ex anymore. You know, we've stayed on friendly terms and are very cordial to each other, and, you know, there's no arguments. There was in the beginning just over property division and all of that. Universe was saying, you know, don't do that. Let the past go. And, you know, whenever you're single, all the exes come out of the woodwork and, you know, everybody wants to get back together and I'd like to see you, blah, blah, blah. And maybe it was something telling me that. Don't go there. Don't go in the past. Move forward. There was something, okay? It was telling me something. But it bothered me so much, and that's why I'm making this video and why I even put it on the private page. So for those of you who don't know, I'm on Pinterest. There's a whole slew of stuff on Pinterest, Grimoire of the Modern Witch. I have the public Facebook page, Grimoire of the Modern Witch, a private page only for questions, answers, sharing experiences, private group, okay, Grimoire of the Modern Witch, and then this YouTube channel. So you can find me, you know, just about everywhere. I am on Instagram, but, you know, that's separate and different. So anyway, one person said, check it to make sure it's real gold. That might not be real gold. I'm sorry, but to tell someone their wedding ring wasn't real gold or question that, that's an insult. For those of you who aren't skilled in what you should or shouldn't say to someone, don't ever tell someone that you think that their wedding ring wasn't real gold. How? Oh, that's beyond. But anyway, and several people said, oh, I only have problems if I wear rings on my thumb, or, you know, soap got under there, or hand sanitizer got under there and irritated your skin. You know, everybody had a reason why this wasn't a sign, and it absolutely was a sign. And yes, they could be right, except for the gold thing, they could be right on, you know, how it occurred, but that doesn't mean it wasn't a sign, because it was a sign for me. It told me don't do that, okay? And of course, things have to happen in the real world because we live in the real world. If I had said a fairy came down and looked me in the eye and whispered in my ear, you might question that, and rightly so. But I hope you get my point. I hope you understand what I'm saying. Signs are mundane things that have specific meaning to the person they are intended for. Remember that. And recognize them when they happen to you. Have a good day, guys.